Welcome to my podcast, The Government Mechanic. I am your host, Dr. Lynn Sandra Kahn. I am the Government Mechanic. Episodes 3 and 4 are about veterans issues and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA. And my wonderful guest for both these episodes is Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics International. Hi, Steve. How's Las Vegas, Nevada?
How you doing, Dr. Khan?
I'm
Fabulous. Pleasure to be here.
absolutely. For starters, Steve served in the Marine Corps from 1985 to 1991, and then the United States Army from 1992 to 1998. He was deployed to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. Steve is the real deal. So, and my
Thank you, Doc.
friend. What's important to understand about Steve is that he's been advocating for veterans for about 25 years.
Give and take, yes, ma'am.
From everything, including giving testimony in the Nevada State Legislature about veterans issues, about putting the word veteran on Nevada driver's license, about caring for veteran cemeteries, and many other issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Stephen, what is it you want our audience to understand about serving in the military and being a veteran?
Well, the military is whatever you make it, Dr. Khan. You make it bad, it's going to be bad. It's just like anything else. You make it good, it's going to be good. Just do your job and try to achieve the highest goal you could possibly can, and you'll be a superstar in the military.
And were you a superstar?
I try to be.
Well, there's a long list of awards and medals, but we'll save that for another time. What do you think are the primary issues facing veterans in 2024?
I believe the primary issue is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Really?
Is the primary issues. Veterans not knowing their benefits, not applying for their disabilities. That's another issue. The process has taken a long time for certain veterans to retain their disability or to obtain their disability. That's also a problem. The suicide rate is an issue as well. Veterans being incarcerated instead of being treated for various ailments. That's also an issue. So there's several issues that apply to veterans.
Yes. And so you started or helped to start the Veterans Court for the state of Nevada. Can you
Yes, ma'am.
describe what it does and why it's important?
Well, the purpose of the Veterans Treatment Court is to give the veteran another chance at life, give him a hand up, not a hand out. If a veteran is convicted for, let's say, a DUI, driving under the influence, instead of incarcerating the veteran, you want to treat the veteran for that ailment, whether put the veteran through alcohol awareness training or put the veteran through some type of drug program. But here in the state of Nevada, the program is about 18 months long. It's a hard program. You have mentors that follow you along the way.
Mm.
And upon completing the program, your case will be dismissed and your case will be sealed. That way, when the veteran goes out looking for a job or try to get some type of clearance, that won't be on their record to hold them back. So that's why they do it that way. It's a second chance at life. So whatever your crime is washed away, and you're given a clean slate.
And to make this happen, you had to meet with a lot of judges and really also educate the police force about
Well,
options for veterans. So what was that like?
that one's a different program. You're talking about the veterans on driver's license, but for the veterans treatment program, it had I had to convince legislators.
Yep.
I had to get a family court judge on board, and her name is Jennifer Elliott at the time, and it was Barbara Buckley who was Speaker of the House on the Assembly side. So we had to convince we had to get the bill draft request. This was called a BDR. We had to get it out of committee. We had to put it on the floor of the assembly. We had to testify for it. We had to lobby for it. We had to twerk the language in the bill, and then we had to get it through the Senate, the Nevada State Senate, and then we had to get it out of that committee and get it on the Senate floor, get it passed, and then we had to convince the governor to sign off on it. And then once the governor was convinced, and it was Governor Jim Gibbons at the time, he was a congressman, and he served as governor here in the state of Nevada back in 2008 and 2009. And then once the bill was passed into law, Northern Nevada was the first part of the state that implemented the Veterans Treatment Program. And in Southern Nevada, in Clark County, they didn't implement the program once it got into law. I had to go to
Mm.
all the different municipalities, whether it's Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Boulder City, um, um, North Las Vegas, Henderson, and I had to sit down with those judges and I explained the law. They didn't even know what the law was, and I explained the law to them. Then I had to go to Justice of the Peace in Las Vegas, in North Las Vegas, in Boulder, and Henderson, and repeat the same. And then I had to go to the district court, which is the Clark County District Court, that encompasses everything from Mount Charleston to Laughlin, from Prim to Searchlight, Moapa, and all those rural areas, and Las Vegas, and Henderson, and North Las Vegas, and Boulder. And I had to explain the law to them. And then we had to get the public defender, and then we had to get the district attorney's office. It was a whole lot of different branches on a tree that had to come and sync together. And it's amazing. Once you get a law passed, people don't know about it.
Yeah. Yep.
And you
Yep.
think that judges will know about these laws. They don't. You have to bring it to their attention, and then you got to convince them all over again. And I'm saying, wait a minute, I already convinced the legislatures. What do I need to convince the judicial branch of government? Because the judicial branch of government has to follow the legislative branch of government. Law, I mean, sorry, once the judges start getting the hang of it, that's when the process started to go. And then we had to contact the VA because the VA had to find out the veterans DD 214, make sure that they are a veteran, their
Mm.
separation paperwork, so we could get them into the VA so they could do the drug treatment or anger management or whatever the program is. But it's a long process, and to get the Veterans Treatment Court enacted, it took a lot of work, and then you had to find judges that's going to run these programs. And we have a judge in North Las Vegas that runs it, and a judge in Las Vegas that runs it, and a judge in Henderson that runs it. And we had to find a justice of the peace to run it, and then we had to find a district court judge to run it. And it's believe me, it's a whole lot of red tape. And then, and part of it, the judges are supposed to ask all defendants if they were military veterans.
Ah.
And they had to put that on their intake form when they check everything off with their attorneys. And once they go to preliminary judgment and preliminary hearing, excuse me, preliminary hearing, and I had to do all that process. So it was a very lengthy process. And throughout the years, the district attorney amended the law. Some prosecutors didn't want veterans to go into a treatment program because there was domestic violence that was part of it as well. And what part of domestic violence are we going to allow? If we're going to allow domestic violence with strangulation, which is a felony, plain domestic violence is a misdemeanor, and domestic violence with the use of a weapon, or domestic violence in front of a minor. And there was a whole lot of it's exhausting just to talk about it. But the program exists, and it was mirrored from Buffalo, New York, That's where they originally started the Veterans Treatment Program in Buffalo, New York. So we mirrored it here in the state of Nevada, and that's how it came to fruition. But it took a lot of determination. It took a lot of good people that was willing to do it, and it works, and it has saved countless veterans since this program first started in our state.
Pretty amazing. And
And if you want to talk about the veterans on driver's license, that's a whole separate.
now let's stick with the Veterans Court. So when did it really start? How many years did it take you for it to really become a reality? And how many veterans had been through that treatment court?
For it to become a reality, because back in 2009 it was law, so Northern Nevada was already implemented it, and then some of my members went to Northern Nevada and watched the process in their courtroom, how they were doing it, and then Southern Nevada wasn't implementing it, so I had to go convince them in 2010. So I would say 2011, it was when it first started statewide. That means Northern and Southern Nevada was implementing this program. But a lot of prosecutors didn't like the program because they didn't want to dismiss cases,
Mm.
and they were putting their own little caveat in there, and they were using their own way of talking to the judge to convince the judge. And judges have this thing called discretion, and maybe they didn't read the law the way this judge reads the law, and this judge reads the law differently than the way that judge reads the law. And you is and in our language it says that ye shall, and they wanted to take out the language of shall and put may in there. That way they could do whatever they want. And it was a whole bunch of legal jiggery jumbery and verbiage, and it was crazy. And then a few years ago, I believe it was 4 years ago, they amended the veterans treatment program again, to so the prosecutors could have a hand in there, have more control of it. And you see, that's what it is. It was about power and control.
Yep.
Public defender wants this, the district attorney's office want that, and it was a power struggle. And it's disgusting that the judicial branch used veterans as a power struggle to get a conviction or not get a conviction. It was disgusting, to say the least. I didn't like it at all. And I voiced in my opinion how disgusted I didn't like the way that the judicial branch was using veterans as a power struggle to get what they want.
I have no doubt you voiced your opinion
I,
about.
believe me, they didn't like it.
Uh,
Some of them loved it. In this business, some people love you, and then some people just hate you.
yep.
You kind of have no in between in there.
So how many veterans do you think have been through the treatment court?
Thousands.
Really? Really?
Thousands, tens of thousands since the program started.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I just went to a Veterans Court graduation last week in Las Vegas Municipal Court, and that judge does an excellent job in the program. And it's a graduation process. After the 18 months, it's a graduation process. Henderson used to do one that I admired, but the judge, Mark Stevens, that was the one that was running, who's a Marine as well. He retired, so the program got handed down to another judge, and I don't know how that program is working out as of yet. I haven't really visited the courtroom to see how they're doing it, but I know in Las Vegas the program is out. Las Vegas Municipal Court, the program is outstanding, and I have to emphasize municipal court because every municipality has their own veterans court, and every level of government, I'm sorry, every level of the judiciary have their own veterans court, because you got your municipality, and you got your justice court, and you got your district court. So they all have their own veterans treatment program here in the state of Nevada.
So not only have you put in place this incredible system, you've really learned a lot about how the law works, how politics works, the reality of different egos and different preferences, how that all plays out. and I'm just thrilled that you've had thousands and thousands of people, veterans that have gone through this process.
And I was trying to get the program on a federal level. I went to DC. I've met with my congressional delegates over there and my senatorial delegates, try to get a federal level. I remember this is also on YouTube, actually, on my YouTube channel, Veterans in Politics, that when Donald Trump was running with running mate Pence, Mike Pence. Mike Pence came out to a rally out in Henderson, and I asked him specifically. I explained to him that according to the survey I saw back then, there was about 145,000 veterans that were in state and federal prisons. And I asked, what would a Trump Pence administration do to treat veterans instead of incarcerating them? I mean, think about it,
Yeah.
145,000 veterans. That's, 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 that's my God,
Yep.
that is several battalions of Marines right there. They could take over a country. 145,000, and that was just at that time, that was just in state and federal prisons. That didn't count county
Yes.
prisons,
Jails.
city jails. That didn't even count detention centers. That didn't even count all those. But
Well, I
those were a lot of veterans that served their country just to come back, and because of whatever ailments and memories and band-aids you had to use to try to get your mind back in reality, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sex or violence. These are all band-aids military members use to try to cope with the horrors, especially if the ones that went to war, you know, and they use those to band-aid their nightmares.
and now there's a process and a system in place, the Veterans Treatment Court, that really connects veterans to services at a much deeper and a healthier level.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you, Steve, for the work that you've done and your persistence. I think what comes
Thank
through
you.
is there's so many pieces to this, and you had to work every piece of this jigsaw puzzle to put it
And I'm
together
an
and make it.
attorney. I have no law degree. I have taken law classes years ago at Saddleback in Mission Viejo, but I'm not an attorney. I've never went to law school. These are things that I've picked up over the years, and I wanted to make it a federal that the federal government was behind this. To have veterans court in every state, in every municipality, but veterans court is not in every state, and it's not in every municipality, and it should be, because a lot of veterans are being disenfranchised because this program does not exist in their municipality where the crime occurred.
Well, you've certainly shown us the way, and I want to thank you and congratulate you for some incredible work. Thank you so much, Steve Sanson, who will be back for episode number 4. Thank you.
Absolutely.